Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Girls Garage. We got the T100 in the house today. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, a little on the warm side, but this is most likely the very first video on this bike. I did create an introduction video, a little bit on the background of the history of Triumph and how this model evolved over the years. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so. I'll drop the link in the description. But as far as you can see, I've been tearing this thing down, removing the rust where it needs to be, and making it all shiny. And I did rebuild the carburetor on this. I didn't create a video on it. I thought it would be too of an obvious and boring content to sit through. So hey, but if you do wanna watch something like that in the future, do let me know. I will be happy to create a video on it. For this specific video, we are going to be covering the primary case, why I took the primary cover off, what I found inside, and we'll go through the fluid options if you're planning on changing your primary case fluid, as well as the chain tensioner, the gasket, basically all the bits and pieces involved with the primary. So yeah, hope you stick along. And of course, Roger wants to be in the shot. Some things haven't changed. Yes. All right, get out. Get out, get out, get out. All right, so you might be asking, why did I remove the primary case? And the short answer is my OCD did not allow me to not remove it. And I'm so glad I did, because there's a couple things that I found. For example, the oil. It was almost halfway full. Now that's an overkill. It, that is not the correct amount of fluid that goes in here. And then when I was trying to kick this over, just to make sure the fluid travels all the way to the rockers and everything, the primary started leaking. And my first was maybe the bolts aren't tight enough, you know. But I happened to know there was no gasket in this, so that was surprising. There was a silicone paste that was there, but it wasn't fully or more accurately done, I would say, because the rear half is missing towards the clutch side. So I scraped all of that off. And another thing, because it did not have gasket in it, as you can see, hopefully you can see it in the camera, I'll zoom in. There's actually marks both for the spring as well as the clutch. And what happens is, as you pull in the clutch, the plates tend to extend out. So if you don't have a gasket in there, that is going to make contact with the primary case cover. So I'm so glad I took this off. And the clutch side is not bad, but actually the crank sprocket is worse. That actually has way worse deep lines. And from my personal experience, I would actually never recommend anybody using any sort of silicone paste on their engine cases, timing cases, rocker covers, name it. Um, Not just this machine, anything that you own, you know, these things are made and designed for a reason. And what I ended up doing was I got some blueprints off online, and then I got some high temperature gasket sheet material. So I made myself two of these because the material that I came across was very thin. And I wasn't really confident seeing uh, what actually happened inside, right? So my game plan is to actually put two gaskets that I made. I'm gonna stamp those in there, lock this tight. Hopefully no leaks after that, and then we will put the correct amount of fluid that goes in there. So yeah, I wanted to quickly go over the primary and what are the pieces that are all attached to it. Usually the ones that are really neglected. First is this breather hose that gets connected to the oil tank. That breather hose is for the oil tank, not the primary. However, the one for primary is this metal tube right here. Um, Second most is this second bolt right here. So if I can align this case, this is the bolt I'm referring to. So the tension on this bolt determines the fluid that travels to the chain. And this is where British engineering shines. This is a self lubrication system. So if you tighten that bolt all the way down, it stops the fluid traveling on the other side of the primary and dripping on your chain. Part I'm referring to. So this second bolt, and this is the actual ridge that connects to the primary case. So as you tighten that bolt, it stops the fluid going across that hole and dropping onto the chain. If you loosen that couple turns back, that allows the fluid to go and you have a self chain lubrication system. Uh, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tighten all the way because I like to maintain the chain on my own. Um, and but yeah, that's where British engineering shines. All right, so once you have all the bolts in, don't tighten them, just have them secure. And we're going to push the main bolt for the footrest from the right side. All right, so once you have the bolt all the way through, installing this is really easy. You have these spacers. This is for the adjustment of this to increase the height or lower it. So I'm going to put them in the middle once, just how it came standard. And going to insert those and those two. Actually, proper way to probably do this is this way. You learn as you go. So there it is, and then we're gonna put a washer and a nut over it. So once you have this tightened, what this is going to do is align the primary case cover with the primary, and after that you can go in and tighten the bolts. And right there is good. I have tightened all of them. I'm just gonna quickly double check, go over everything, just to make sure it is pretty snug. Over what oil I'm using. I'm using the STP. This is Science Technology Performance, a well-known brand, and I'm using their Type F. Now, basically, what Type F stands for is Ford. Now, Ford came out with this for any vehicles prior to 1977. Those automatic transmissions ran this. The reason why I'm using the Type F is because this is a high static friction oil, meaning um, if you're experiencing your clutch slipping, this will be your best friend. And I haven't experienced that yet because I haven't driven this, but just to be on the safe side, to start everything fresh, this is what I'm using. Actual cap of the primary, it says use light oil. Now, this is why I am choosing a ATF over any of those thicker grade oils, because you simply cannot use the same crank oil in the primary. Uh, I mean, you can, but you're not supposed to, right? So the reason why is the thicker the oil, as the primary chain rotates, the thicker the oil, it is going to be uneven. The flow of that lubrication will not be streamlined, right? So the thinner the oil, it is going to flow across that chain smoothly. So the O-rings within that chain or the sprocket, all of those pieces are going to get lubricated, whereas a thicker oil will tend to just stay on the bottom of the case, and as the chain moves, the oil will get thrown off all over the place. So that's one of the that's the technical aspect of it. Another benefit of using this is, of course, this has no radiator on it. This is an air cooled engine. So as this gets up to speed with high temperature on it, this fluid is not going to break down. It is going to hold up that temperature and lubricate all the bits and pieces just fine. The amount of fluid that should go in the primary is around 1/3 of pints. That is equal to approximately 158 milliliters. So as you can see, only this much should be going in your primary. Uh, and to what I stated earlier, when I took this apart, this was almost halfway full. So definitely that was an overkill. So 1/3 or 158 milliliters. Another benefit about this is, due to the color difference, uh, if this somehow leaks, you would be able to tell, hey, this is my primary fluid that's on the floor, rather than having the same crank oil and primary oil, and you won't be able to tell the difference, right? So kind of win-win situation. And just looking over, our seal is in good condition. Simply tighten this down. No need to go ham on this. Uh, Just hand tightening it snug is going to do you just fine. I'm going to simply tighten this all the way, bottom it out basically, as I don't want the fluid. And a couple other updates I want to point out. Magneto is all good. I was able to clean up the spark plugs, put them back together. It still creates spark. Uh, Primary we're all set with now. Next is going to be the timing case. I'm pretty sure there's no gasket in there. And then after that, we will tackle the gearbox. And from there, it's just one step closer. Thanks for watching.